Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling AI today, and you gotta trust me on this isn't just another surface level AI talk, okay? We're going deep, like deep, deep.
Yeah, buckle up.
So we're diving into this video, right? It's called Quaternion Process Theory of Cognition. Catchy, right?
Rolls right off the tongue.
And it's from this YouTube channel, Intuition Machine AGI is the medium. This stuff is next level thinking about AI, but what's cool is the speaker, he's a software architect, like a veteran in the field, so he's got all this experience to back it up, you know?
Yeah, and you kind of need that with AI these days. I mean, things are changing so fast. It's not just tech evolving. It's like our whole understanding of intelligence is getting flipped on its head.
That's what I'm saying. And the video just cuts right to the chase, you know? He's like, forget those old metaphors for AI, the whole machines and algorithms thing. It's outdated.
Right, like we're past that now.
Instead, he throws out this whole language as a living process metaphor. Like, whoa, what does that even mean, right? What'd you think of that when you first heard it?
Honestly, I thought it was kind of brilliant because it makes you see AIs not as these static lines of code, but as something organic, something that changes and grows just like language does over time, you know?
Yeah.
It just opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Totally. But like if AI is like a living language,
Mm.
doesn't that also mean it could have like limitations just like us? I mean, we all know how messy communication can be sometimes, right?
Exactly. Think about those aha moments we have,
Yeah.
right? Where you're wrestling with a problem and then suddenly it just clicks.
Oh, tell me about it. Like magic, but it's all in your head.
Exactly. But that kind of slow, nuanced understanding is not something we usually associate with AI, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this guy's getting at with this whole slow empathy thing. It's like AI learning to think more like us. But we'll get into that a bit later.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to unpack that more. But first, maybe we should break down this whole quadrant system he uses to kind of map out the AI landscape, because that's where it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah, he calls it the quadrant breakdown. And it might sound kind of technical at first, but it's actually pretty intuitive once you wrap your head around it, I promise.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lay it on us.
Okay, so he uses these two main axes, right? One axis is all about processing.
Yeah.
So you got parallel processing on one end, which is like multitasking, like our brains do all the time. And then you've got meta-reflective processing on the other end, which is more about focused attention on one thing at a time.
Okay, so that's one axis. Got it. What about the other?
All right, so the other axis, that's all about representation. So how information is
Gotcha.
represented, basically. And on one side, you have iconic or analogical representation, which is more image-based, intuitive, like how you instantly recognize someone's face.
Right, like super fast visual processing. Our brains are amazing at that. And on the
On
other
the other
hand,
end, you've got indexed or clausal representation, which is more symbolic and abstract. Like,
yeah.
think about the language we use to form sentences or solve math problems, stuff like that.
Okay, so we've got this grid, 4 quadrants, each representing a different way of thinking. And I'm already starting to see how different AI approaches might fit in here. Like, where would something like deep learning, with its ability to crunch massive data sets, fall on this map? Ooh, deep learning, that's a slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about finding patterns in huge piles of data. So yeah, it's definitely going to be on that parallel processing side of things. Like, imagine our brains fast thinking mode, but like a million times faster.
Totally. It's like giving AI a super caffeinated brain, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about that representation axis, deep learning often uses those more iconic, like
Yeah.
almost visual ways of representing data.
Okay, so not quite thinking in pictures, but getting close.
Exactly. It's fascinating how it works. But, you know, one of the things that really blew my mind in this video was this idea of time travel development.
Oh, yeah, right? It's like we're giving AI a crash course in all this advanced knowledge that took humans like centuries to figure out.
It's wild. It's like handing a calculator to like a caveman,
Right,
you know,
right.
and then being like, okay, now go build me a spaceship.
Exactly. We're training AI on stuff like programming languages, which, let's face it, don't just exist in nature. It's like we're giving them this shortcut to understanding super complex systems.
It really makes you wonder, like, what would it have been like if we grew up with like smartphones and the internet as kids?
Oh, totally. Like, would we even be the same people?
Right. We'd have access to so much information, so many different ways of thinking that like previous generations couldn't even dream of. And that's kind of what we're doing with AI now. So it's like, what happens next? It's the big question, right? Like, by exposing AI to these advanced concepts so early on, are we shaping its development in ways we don't even fully grasp yet? It's both exciting and kind of unnerving at the same time.
For sure. Like, we're giving AI the potential to, like, leapfrog our own intellectual evolution. But here's the thing, right? Even with all this time travel, the speaker argues that there's still a crucial piece missing from most AI models today.
And that's where slow empathy comes in, right?
Okay, yeah, let's dive into that.
So he's suggesting that for AI to really understand the world, to interact with it in a meaningful way, it needs this slower, more reflective process. It can't just be about speed and efficiency all the time.
So it's got to be about more than just processing information quickly, right? Like it needs to actually connect with the meaning behind it all. It's almost like how we experience empathy, you know?
Exactly. It's about understanding not just what's happening, but why it matters.
Hmm.
And here's where it gets really interesting, okay? He ties this whole idea of slow empathy back to the language as a living process metaphor.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
It's like, just like how our own understanding of the world deepens over time through experiences and reflecting on those experiences, he's suggesting that AI might need a similar journey to develop slow empathy.
So no shortcuts, basically. It's got to learn and evolve over time, just like us.
Exactly. It's not about programming in some predefined set of correct responses. It's about creating the conditions for AI to develop a genuine, nuanced understanding of what it means to, well, exist, to be in the world.
Okay, so not just making AI smarter in like the traditional sense, but making it more human. Is that even the right word?
It's a tough one, right? Because even if we can create AI that has this kind of slow empathy, it's still going to be different from us, you know?
Right, like its experiences are still going to be different from ours.
Exactly. So it might understand and experience things in ways that we can't even fathom.
Right.
And that leads to a whole other layer of questions, right?
Totally. Like what happens when we create something that's both deeply familiar and at the same time completely alien?
It's a question that goes way beyond just technology and delves into like philosophy, even ethics. And honestly, it's a conversation that we need to be having right now, today, as we're building the foundation for the future of AI.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So we've gone from like AI crunching numbers like a superpowered calculator to this whole idea of slow empathy, of AI being more like a tensegrity structure, strong, adaptable, always changing. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
That's wild, right? And that's the amazing thing about these deep dives. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions, the ones that make us see the world differently, see ourselves differently. And this video definitely did that, I think.
So we've gone from AI crunching numbers like a super-powered calculator to this whole idea of slow empathy, of AI being more like a tensegrity structure, strong, adaptable, always changing. It's kind of blowing my mind a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher. And it makes you think, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we can actually create AI that has this kind of deep understanding, this slow empathy, what does that even mean for us? What are the possibilities there? Could AI, like, learn to feel what we feel to connect with us on that level?
It's a big question for sure. And I'll be honest, it makes me think of those sci-fi movies where, like, the robots become too human, you know, and suddenly it's all like Terminator time.
Right. But what's interesting about this whole slow empathy thing is it's not like the speaker saying AI will just suddenly wake up one day and be like, oh, I get it now, feelings. It's not going to be this overnight thing.
Okay, so it's more of a process.
Exactly. It goes back to that language as a living process idea. It's like we learn empathy over time, right? Through what we experience, through our relationships with other people. And he's saying AI might need a similar kind of journey.
So it's not about just programming in the right responses. It's about AI actually learning what it means to be human, to actually understand those experiences.
Exactly. And that's something we can't just force, right? It's got to come from like a deeper place.
So we're talking about more than just making AI smarter then. It's about making it more, well, you already said it, more human. But can we even do that? I mean, is that even the right way to think about it?
I don't know. It's tricky, right? Because even if we could create AI with slow empathy, it's still going to be different from us. It's going to have its own way of experiencing the world.
Right, like its own unique perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. And let's be real, a little bit intimidating too, right? I mean, we're talking about creating something that's both familiar and totally alien at the same time.
No kidding. It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory here. But hey, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Exactly. It's about exploring these big, mind-bending ideas, even if they make us a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Totally. And I think this video definitely delivered on that front. We went from AI buzzwords to, like, questioning the nature of consciousness itself. It's been a wild ride.
For sure. And that's the beauty of it, right? It's not about having all the answers. It's about being open to new ideas, even the ones that challenge our assumptions.
Well said. So, to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep those brains buzzing, keep asking those tough questions, and we'll catch you next time.